The giant room was filled with the sound of worried voices. Hundreds of alien beings from different worlds sat in tall chairs that curved around a massive stage. Their eyes, some big and round, others small and sharp, all looked at the center, where a tall blue creature stood. Ambassador Zeke-Thari had skin that looked like smooth water and 4 arms that moved as he talked. His voice was deep and carried across the huge space without any help from machines. Next to him stood 2 humans who looked very small compared to the alien Captain Jake Morrison wore a dark uniform with shiny buttons. His hair was gray at the sides and his face had lines that showed he had seen many battles. He kept his hands behind his back and did not move at all. The other human was a woman with short brown hair and a red suit. Her name was Lisa Brooks, and she was Earth's top diplomat. "People of Earth," Zeke-Thari began, his voice making the air shake a little. "For many years, we have asked you to join our council. We have offered you amazing things. We could give you ships that travel faster than light. We could teach you how to heal any sickness. We could show you how to make food from nothing but air and water." The alien crowd made soft sounds of agreement. Many of them had received these same gifts when they joined the council long ago. To them, it seemed crazy that anyone would say no to such wonderful offers. Lisa Brooks stepped forward. Her shoes made small clicking sounds on the smooth floor. She looked up at the tall alien and then turned to face the crowd of council members. "We thank the council for these offers," she said. Her voice was much quieter than the aliens, but somehow everyone could hear her clearly. "We have studied everything you have shown us. We have read all your laws and rules. We know exactly what you are asking us to do." High Arbitrator Threndal sat in the biggest chair at the top of the room. He was an old alien with gray skin and 6 eyes that blinked at different times. He had been the leader of the council for over 200 years. He leaned forward in his chair, interested to hear what the human would say next. "The council has been very patient with us," Lisa continued. "You have asked us 12 times to join you. Each time, you have offered us more gifts and more benefits. But there is one thing you always ask for in return." She paused and looked around the room. Many of the aliens were nodding their heads or making sounds that meant they agreed with her. "You want us to follow your laws instead of our own. You want us to ask permission before we explore new worlds. You want us to use only the technology you approve of. You want us to become just another member of your council, doing what you tell us to do." The room became very quiet. Even the small sounds of breathing and movement stopped. Everyone was waiting to hear what the human would say next. "Our answer is no," Lisa said simply. The silence lasted for about 5 seconds. Then the room exploded with noise. Aliens jumped up from their chairs and began talking loudly in dozens of different languages. Some made angry sounds, others seemed confused, and a few appeared to be frightened. High Arbitrator Threndal hit a large button on his chair and a deep bell sound filled the room. All the aliens became quiet again, but Jake Morrison could see that many of them were still very upset. "Ambassador Brooks," Threndal said, his voice careful and controlled. "Perhaps you do not understand what you are refusing. The council offers protection from dangerous species. We offer trade with thousands of worlds. We offer knowledge that could help your people live longer and better lives." Lisa nodded. "We understand exactly what you are offering, but we also understand what you are asking for in return. You want us to give up our freedom to make our own choices." "Freedom?" asked Counselor Vexandra, a creature that looked like it was made of living crystal. "You speak of freedom, but what freedom do you have to face the dangers of space alone? What freedom do you have to make the same mistakes we made thousands of years ago?" Jake Morrison finally moved. He took one step forward and looked directly at the crystal being. We have the freedom to make our own mistakes. We have the freedom to find our own solutions. We have the freedom to succeed or fail based on our own choices. The captain's words made some of the aliens very angry. A red creature with many tentacles stood up and waved its arms. This is foolishness. No species can survive alone in the galaxy. The Council exists to protect everyone. The Council exists to control everyone, Lisa said. You offer gifts, but they come with chains. You offer protection, but only if we do what you tell us to do. You offer membership, but only if we give up what makes us human. Zeke Thari's 4 arms moved in a pattern that showed he was becoming frustrated. What makes you think you can survive without us? Your ships are slow and weak. Your weapons are simple. Your knowledge of the galaxy is limited. There are dangerous species out there that would destroy you in a day. Maybe, Jake said with a small smile. But they would have to catch us first. And we are very good at not being caught. The High Arbitrator stood up from his chair. He was much taller than he had looked while sitting down. This is not a game, humans. We are offering you a chance to join the most powerful alliance in the galaxy. If you refuse, you will be alone. No one will help you if you are attacked. No one will trade with you. No one will share their knowledge with you. Lisa Brooks looked at Jake Morrison. He gave her a small nod. She turned back to face the Council and spoke in a voice that was steady and strong. We accept those terms. Starting today, Earth ends all diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council. We will not ask for your help, and we will not follow your rules. We will explore the galaxy on our own terms. The room erupted in chaos again. This time, the bell could not make the aliens quiet. Down, dozens of them were shouting at the same time. Some seemed angry, others appeared scared, and a few looked like they could not believe what they had just heard. Jake, Morrison, and Lisa Brooks turned and walked toward the exit. Their footsteps echoed in the huge room as hundreds of alien voices argued behind them. Neither human looked back. As they reached the door, Zeke Thari called out to them. You are making a terrible mistake. You will regret this decision. Lisa paused at the doorway and turned around one last time. Maybe we will, she said, but it will be our mistake to make. The door closed behind them with a soft sound. In the council chamber, the aliens continued to argue and shout. For the first time in 3,000 years, a species had completely rejected their offer of membership. Nobody knew what would happen next. High Arbitrator Thrindall sat back down in his chair and looked at the empty space where the humans had been standing. He had a feeling that the galaxy was about to become a very different place. 3 months had passed since the humans walked out of the council chambers. At first, many aliens thought the humans would change their minds. They expected Earth to send a message asking to talk again. They waited for the humans to realize they had made a mistake. The message never came. Instead, something much more worrying started to happen. Ships from different worlds began reporting strange things when they tried to visit human space. Captain Marjan of the trading vessel Starfinder was the first to bring back news that made the council nervous. I tried to enter the Sol system like I always do, Marjan told the emergency meeting. He was a tall, thin alien with green skin and large black eyes. But human ships stopped me at the border. They were polite but firm. They said no council ships were allowed in human space anymore. Council Intelligence Director Quinville listened to the report with growing concern. She was a small alien with blue fur and a very sharp mind. For years, she had been tracking what different species were doing across the galaxy. The human situation was starting to worry her a lot. How many ships stopped you? She asked. Just 2, Marjan replied. But they were different from any human. Ships I had seen before, faster, more advanced. They appeared out of nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. Other ship captains began telling similar stories. The humans had built some kind of invisible wall around their entire territory. No council ship could get through, and no human ship would talk to them. But the really frightening reports came from the outer regions of space. Captain Ben Parker of the human exploration ship New Horizon had been seen in places where no human ship had ever gone before. He was not just exploring empty space. He was claiming worlds. Admiral Kate Sullivan was leading a human fleet that had taken control of an entire star system called Kepler 442. When local Council Representative Veximer tried to stop them, Sullivan's answer shocked everyone who heard. We do not need permission from the Council to settle on empty worlds, she said during a recorded conversation. We are not part of your organization. Your rules do not apply to us. The legal experts on the Council could not believe what they were hearing. For thousands of years, the Council had controlled who could claim new worlds. They had maps showing which species owned what territories. They had courts to settle disputes about borders. Now the humans were ignoring all of that. Director Quinville presented her findings to an emergency session of the full Council. The chamber was packed with representatives from every member world. The mood was very different from 3 months ago. Then, many aliens had thought the humans were just being stubborn. Now, they were starting to get scared. The humans have established defensive positions around their entire sector, Quinville reported. They have built new bases on 12 worlds that were previously empty. Their ships are moving through space using paths we do not recognize. High Arbitrator Threndel leaned forward in his chair. His 6 eyes blinked in a pattern that showed he was very worried. Are they breaking any council laws? That is the problem, Quinville replied. They are not breaking our laws because they do not recognize our authority to make laws for them. Legally, we have no way to stop them. The room filled with concerned voices. Many aliens had never thought about what would happen if a species simply refused to join the council. The whole system was built on the idea that everyone would want to be a member. Councillor Jeek Thari stood up from his seat. His blue skin had turned a darker shade, which meant he was upset. What about the other species? Are they still following our rules? This was the question that kept Director Quinville awake at night. That is where things get complicated, she said. Some of our member species are starting to ask questions. She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked places where there had been problems in the last month. There were more red dots than anyone expected. The Veltar Empire has asked why they need council permission to expand into empty space. The Cleith Union wants to know why they cannot build faster ships like the humans are doing. The crystalline communes are questioning why they have to share their technology with species that have not earned it. The implications were terrifying. If other species started copying the humans, the entire council system could fall apart. Small alien with many arms raised several of them to get attention. Has anyone actually seen these new human technologies? How do we know they are really better than ours? Director Quinville looked uncomfortable. We have limited information. But what we do know is concerning. Human ships have been detected, moving at speeds that should be impossible with their old technology. They seem to have developed new weapons and defensive systems. Most worrying of all, they appear to be completely self-sufficient. Self-sufficient? Asked High Arbitrator Threndel. They are not importing anything from council space. No food, no materials, no technology. Either they have learned to make everything they need, or double quotes, she paused, or what? Demanded Zigthari, or they have found other sources, non-council sources. The room became very quiet. The idea that there might be advanced species outside the council that the humans were working with was almost too frightening to consider Dr. Amy. Chun had been studying council technology for years from her laboratory on Earth. What she discovered had surprised and disappointed her. The aliens had amazing individual technologies, but they had stopped trying to improve them. They shared everything through the council network, so no one species had to develop new ideas. The humans had taken a different approach. They kept pushing forward, always trying to build something better. While the council species had comfortable, reliable technology, the humans had been creating things that no one else in the galaxy had ever seen. Commander Rick Hayes was testing one of these new technologies in a secret location far from Earth. His ship could do things that would seem like magic to most council species. It could appear and disappear at will. It could move through space without leaving any trace. Most importantly, it could defend itself against anything the council might send. Back in the council chambers, the debate continued for hours. Some aliens wanted to send ships to force the humans to follow council rules. Others worried that this might make the situation worse. A few brave voices suggested that maybe the humans had a point about freedom and independence. Counselor Vexandra of the crystalline communes finally asked the question that everyone was thinking, but no one wanted to say out loud. What if they are right? What if membership in the council should be a choice, not a requirement? What if we have been wrong about how the galaxy should work? The silence that followed was longer and more uncomfortable than any in the council's long history. For the first time, they were seriously questioning whether their way was the only way. Outside the council chambers, across the galaxy, other species were watching and waiting. The humans had shown that it was possible to say no to the council and survive. Now everyone was wondering what would happen next. The panic was spreading, and no one knew how to stop it. 6 months after the humans had walked away from the council, Fleet Admiral Cortex made a decision that would change everything. He was a large alien with thick gray skin and 4 powerful arms. He had won many battles for the council and had never lost a war. We cannot let this continue, he told the Emergency War Council. If we allow the humans to ignore our authority, other species will think they can do the same thing. We must show them that leaving the council has consequences. High Arbitrator Threndol was not sure this was a good idea. What exactly are you proposing, Admiral? A blockade, Corthax replied. We surround their space with our ships. We do. Not let anything in or out. Eventually, they will run out of supplies and have to ask for help. Then we can negotiate from a position of strength. The plan seemed reasonable to most council members. Humans had only been in space for a short time, compared to other species. Their technology was basic, and their ships were few. A blockade with 200 council warships should convince them to be more reasonable. 3 weeks later, the largest council fleet in 50 years gathered at the edge of human space. Admiral Corthax commanded from his massive battleship, the Pride of Veltar. The ship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. All ships maintain formation, Corthax ordered through the communication system. We will establish a perimeter around the human sector. No ship enters or leaves without our permission. The fleet moved forward in perfect order. Each ship knew its position and its job. They had practiced this kind of operation many times before. The Admiral expected the humans to surrender without a fight once they saw the size of the force opposing them. That was when Commander Rick Hayes appeared. The human ships came out of nowhere. One moment the space ahead was empty. The next moment, 30 human vessels were there, arranged in a defensive line. They were much smaller than the council ships, but something about them made Admiral Corthax feel uneasy. Human Commander, Corthax broadcast on all frequencies. You are outnumbered more than 6 to 1. Stand aside and let us establish our blockade. No one needs to be hurt. Commander Hayes was a young man with short black hair and calm blue eyes. He stood on the bridge of his ship, the Earth defense vessel Liberty, and looked at the massive council fleet on his main screen. His crew was tense but ready. "Admiral Corthax," Hayes replied, his voice steady and polite. "You are trespassing in human space. I am ordering you to turn around and leave immediately." Many of the council's ship captains laughed when they heard this message. How could 30 small ships order 200 large ones to retreat? It seemed like madness, but Admiral Corthax had been in space combat for over 100 years. He noticed things that other captains missed. The human ships were positioned in a pattern he did not recognize. They were not moving in ways that matched any known fighting style. Most importantly, his sensors could not get clear readings on their weapons or defenses. "I will give you one more chance," the Admiral said. "Move aside, or we will move you aside." "Negative," Hayes responded. "You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawing, or we will consider your presence an act of war." What happened next became known throughout the galaxy as the Silent Victory. It lasted exactly 47 minutes, and not a single shot was fired. Council fleet tried to advance, but the human ships seemed to anticipate every move. When Admiral Corthax ordered his left wing to flank the human ships were already moving to counter the attack before the order was even given. Captain Yilmoth of the Council cruiser Starhammer tried to lock weapons on the nearest human ship, but his targeting system could not get a solid fix. The human vessel seemed to shimmer and fade, like it was not completely there. "Admiral," his weapons officer reported, "our targeting computers cannot track them properly. They are using some kind of stealth technology we have never seen before." Similar reports came from ships across the fleet. The humans were not just avoiding detection. They were actively confusing the Council sensors. What should have been an easy battle was turning into a nightmare. Then the human ships began to move. Dr. Amy Chun had spent years studying how Council ships operated. She discovered that they all used similar designs and followed predictable patterns. Human ships, built with newer ideas and better technology, could move in ways that seemed impossible to Council commanders. The human vessels flowed around the Council fleet like water around rocks. They appeared and disappeared at will. When Council ships tried to follow them, the humans were already somewhere else. Admiral Corthax watched in growing horror as his perfectly organized fleet fell into chaos. Ships collided with each other, trying to track the human vessels. Communication systems were being jammed by signals the Council could not decode. Worst of all, the humans seemed to know exactly what the Council ships were going to do before they did it. "How are they doing this?" demanded Captain Zorvac from his destroyer. The answer came from an unexpected source. The human ship Liberty suddenly appeared directly behind Admiral Corthax's flagship. Not beside it, not near it, but exactly behind. It in a position that should have been impossible to reach without being detected. Commander Hayes' voice came through the communication system, calm and clear. "Admiral Corthax, your fleet is now completely surrounded. My ships have weapons locked on every one of your vessels. You have two choices. You can order your fleet to withdraw immediately, or I can demonstrate why that would be the wise decision." "Admiral." Corthax looked at his tactical display. Somehow, the 30 human ships had positioned themselves so that each Council vessel was targeted by at least one human ship. His sensors showed that the human weapons were charged and ready to fire. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Admiral," his tactical officer said quietly, "our shields are not responding properly. Something is interfering with our defensive systems." The Admiral realized that the humans had not just outmaneuvered his fleet, they had disabled it. 200 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy had been neutralized by 30 human vessels in less than an hour. All ships, Admiral Corthax announced with great reluctance. "Begin withdrawal procedures. We are returning to Council space." As the Council fleet slowly turned and moved away, Commander Hayes sent one final message. "Admiral, please inform the Council that human space is defended. Any future military action against us will be considered an act of war, and we will respond accordingly." The journey back to Council space was the longest of Admiral Corthax's career. He had never been defeated so completely without a single shot being fired. When he arrived at the Council chambers to make his report, he found the representatives in a state of panic. "How?" High Arbitrator Threndal asked. "How did they defeat our entire fleet?" "They did not defeat us," the Admiral replied quietly. "They simply showed us that they could defeat us any time they wanted to. There is a difference." The implications were terrifying. If humans could neutralize the Council's most powerful fleet so easily, what else could they do? More importantly, how many other species were watching and learning from what had happened? Across the galaxy, the news spread quickly. The mighty Galactic Council fleet had been turned away by a small group of human ships. The humans were not just rejecting Council authority, they were proving they could defend that rejection with force. In the days that followed, several Council member species began asking uncomfortable questions about their own military capabilities. If the humans could develop such advanced technology in secret, what other surprises might be waiting? In the galaxy, the Council's monopoly on military power was ending, and everyone knew it. The real shock came 3 weeks after Admiral Corthax returned from his failed mission. Agent Zillinoth was the Council's best spy, and what she discovered changed everything the Council thought they knew about humans. Zillinoth was small and could change the color of her skin to match her surroundings. She had been secretly watching human activities for months, trying to understand how they had become so powerful so quickly. What she found was much worse than anyone had imagined. "Director Quinville," she reported during an emergency intelligence briefing. "The humans have been lying to us for years." Director Quinville felt her blue fur stand up with worry. "What do you mean?" "They were never isolated. While we thought they were alone in their corner of space, they have been building relationships with dozens of species that are not part of our Council." The news hit the Council leadership like a physical blow. For decades, they had assumed that any advanced species in the galaxy would naturally want to join their organization. The idea that there were other civilizations choosing to work with humans instead was terrifying. Colonel Steve Martinez had been running what humans called the Alternative Diplomatic Initiative for 12 years, while Council ambassadors were trying to convince Earth to join their organization. Martinez was quietly reaching out to species the Council had ignored or rejected. His office on Earth was filled with communication devices that could talk to beings the Council had never heard. OF. On his desk were trade agreements with species the Council thought were too primitive to matter. On his walls were star maps showing regions of space the Council had declared too dangerous to explore. The Kef Mori have agreed to share their biotechnology, Martinez told his team during their weekly meeting. "In exchange, we will help them establish colonies in the Outer Rim." The Kef Mori were masters of biological science. They could grow buildings instead of constructing them. They could create medicines that would cure diseases the Council thought were impossible to heal. The Council had rejected them for membership 50 years ago because their technology seemed too strange and unpredictable. Dr. Nina Foster was Martinez's chief science advisor, and she was fascinated by what the humans were learning from their new allies. "The Silvar have developed ships that can phase through solid matter," she reported. "They can pass through asteroid fields, planet surfaces, even other ships without causing any damage." The Silvar were energy beings who lived inside specially built mechanical bodies. The Council had refused to recognize them as a legitimate species, because they were not born naturally. But the humans saw their unique abilities and wanted to learn from them. "What about the Morgenti?" asked Captain Danny Wright, who was in charge of military cooperation with non-council species. "Their artificial intelligence systems are incredible," Dr. Foster replied. "They have computers that can think and learn faster than any biological brain." The council rejected them because they were afraid of artificial intelligence, but the humans see the potential. This was the pattern that Agent Zilanoth discovered during her investigation. The council had spent thousands of years deciding which species were worthy of membership and which were not. They had created a galaxy divided between the acceptable and the unacceptable. But the humans did not care about the council's judgments. The Vorth were silicon-based life forms who could survive in environments that would kill most other species. The council thought they were too alien to understand. The humans learned their language and discovered they were master engineers who could build structures in the vacuum of space. The Kintel were a hive mind species with thousands of individuals, shared a single consciousness. The council found this disturbing and refused them membership. The humans found it fascinating and learned how to communicate with the entire species at once. The HFY were nomads who lived their entire lives, traveling between stars. The council wanted all species to have permanent territories and rejected the HFY application. The humans saw them as the perfect allies for exploration and trade. Senator Paul Graham stood before the United Earth Assembly and delivered the speech that would be remembered as the moment everything changed. The assembly hall was packed with representatives from every human colony and settlement. "For years, the Galactic Council has told us that we need them to survive in space," Graham said. "They claimed that without their protection, we would be destroyed by dangerous species. They insisted that without their technology, we would remain primitive and weak." He paused and looked around the room. Every person was listening carefully to his words. "But we have discovered something the Council does not want us to know. The galaxy is full of amazing species with incredible abilities. Most of them have been rejected by the Council for being too different, too strange, or too independent. The Council wants members who will follow their rules, not partners who will challenge their ideas." The audience was completely silent as Graham continued. "We have formed what we call the Open Alliance. It is not like the Council, which demands obedience and conformity. Our alliance is based on voluntary cooperation between equals. Each species keeps their independence while sharing knowledge and resources freely." Agent Zilanoth had counted at least 40 species that were part of this human alliance. Some were more advanced than Council members. Others were just beginning to explore space. What they all had in common was that they had chosen cooperation over submission. Dr. Helen Foster, Nina's sister, had been working with alien scientists to develop technologies that combined the best ideas from multiple species. Human adaptability, mixed with Kethmori biotechnology, had created medical treatments that seemed like miracles. Silvar phasing technology combined with human engineering had produced ships that could travel through solid matter. "The most amazing discovery," Dr. Foster reported to the Earth Science Council, "is that when different species work together, as equals, they create innovations that none of them could achieve alone." This was exactly what the Galactic Council had been afraid of. For thousands of years, they had maintained control by keeping species separated and dependent on Council technology. The humans had proven that independent cooperation was not only possible, it was better than forced unity. Back in the Council chambers, the emergency sessions were running day and night. Representatives who had never questioned Council authority were now asking why so many species had been rejected over the years. "How many advanced civilizations are out there that we do not know about?" asked Councillor Vexaletters NDRA. Director Quinville looked at her reports with growing dread. "According to our intelligence, the human alliance includes species with technology that matches or exceeds our own. Some of them have abilities we never imagined were possible. High Arbitrator Threndel realized that the Council's greatest mistake had been assuming they were the only option for galactic civilization. While they had been focused on maintaining control over their members, the humans had been building something completely different. What do they want? Asked Admiral Corthax, who was still embarrassed by his recent defeat. That is what worries. Most, replied Director Quinville. They do not seem to want anything from us. They are building their own version of galactic civilization, and they are doing it without us. The Council's worst fears were being realized. The humans had not just rejected their authority, they had created a better alternative. The galaxy was choosing sides, and more species were choosing the humans every day. For the first time in their long history, the Galactic Council was becoming irrelevant. The humans had shown that there was another way to organize galactic society, and that way was spreading faster than the Council could stop it. The revelation was complete. The humans were not weak rebels fighting a hopeless battle. They were the leaders of a new kind of civilization that was growing stronger every day. 2 years had passed since the humans walked out of the council chambers, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. President Carol Evans sat in her office on Earth, looking out at the stars through a window that showed ships from dozens of different species coming and going from Earth's orbital stations. The communication device on her desk buzzed with an urgent message. High Arbitrator Threndal himself was requesting a meeting. Carol was not surprised. She had been expecting this call for weeks. The meeting took place in Earth's diplomatic center, a new building designed to accommodate beings of all shapes and sizes. When Threndal arrived, he was not alone. Representatives from every major council species had come with him. They looked tired and worried. President Evans, Threndal began, his 6 eyes showing the strain of the past 2 years. We come to you with a final offer. The Council is prepared to offer humanity full membership with complete equality. You would have voting rights equal to any other member. You could expand wherever you wish. You could keep all your technology and share only what you choose to share. Carol listened politely while the High Arbitrator explained terms that would have seemed impossible 3 years earlier. The Council was offering everything they had once refused to give. But as she listened, Carol realized how much the situation had changed. I appreciate the generous offer, she replied, but I am afraid you misunderstand our current position. Through the large windows of the meeting room, they could see the busy traffic of ships around Earth. Vessels from the Kethmori floated alongside human cargo ships. Sylvar energy beings phased through solid structures as they moved between different areas. Morgenti artificial intelligence units coordinated the complex dance of arrivals and departures. We are no longer interested in joining any organization that requires membership, Carol continued. We have built something better. Commander Tony Wells had just returned from the furthest edge of the galaxy with news that changed everything. His exploration ship, the Liberty Bell, had spent 6 months mapping regions of space that the Council had declared too dangerous to visit. There are thousands of species out there, Wells reported to the Earth Assembly. Amazing civilizations with technologies we never imagined. The Council represents less than 5% of the intelligent life in our galaxy. His words were broadcast across human space and quickly spread to their allies. The galaxy was much larger and more diverse than anyone had realized. The Council had been so focused on controlling their small section of space that they had missed the bigger picture. Dr. Helen Foster stood before a gathering of scientists from 20 different species. Her latest project was the most ambitious thing any of them had ever attempted. We are going to build a new kind of faster-than-light travel, she announced. It will make the current jump gate network look like ancient history. The technology combined human engineering with alien innovations from across the Open Alliance. Kethmori biological components could grow and adapt to different conditions. Silvar energy manipulation could bend space in ways no one had thought possible. Morgenti computers could calculate jump coordinates faster than any existing system. The best part, Dr. Foster continued, is that we will share this technology freely with any species that wants it. No membership required, no political strings attached. Back in the council chambers, emergency sessions had become a permanent way of life. Half of their member species had opened diplomatic relations with the Human Alliance. Several had withdrawn from the council entirely to join the humans. Councillor Vexandra had been one of the first to question the council's methods, and now she stood to address the assembly. "We need to face the truth," she said. "Our way of organizing the galaxy is failing. The humans have proven that voluntary cooperation works better than forced unity." Many representatives disagreed with her, but they could not argue with the results. Human colonies were thriving on worlds the council had thought were uninhabitable. Human trade routes connected species that had never worked together before. Human exploration ships were making discoveries in regions the council had given up on. Admiral Kate Sullivan commanded the human fleet that was establishing a new colony in the Andromeda Approach, a region of space the council had declared too dangerous for settlement. Her ships worked alongside vessels from a dozen allied species, each contributing their unique abilities to make the impossible colony succeed. "The secret," Sullivan explained to a group of council observers who had come to see what the humans were doing, "is that we do not try to make everyone the same. We celebrate differences and find ways to use them together." President Evans looked across the table at the council delegation. These beings had once seemed so powerful and important. Now they looked like what they really were, representatives of an outdated system that could not adapt to change. "The council operates on fear," she said gently. "Fear that species cannot be trusted to make their own decisions. Fear that diversity leads to chaos. Fear that without central control, everything will fall apart." She stood and walked to the window, gesturing at the busy scene outside. "But look what we have built. Dozens of species working together because they choose to, not because they have to. Each one keeping their independence while contributing to something larger than themselves." High Arbitrator Threndall followed her to the window. What he saw made him understand how completely the galaxy had changed. Ships from species he had never heard of were working together with an efficiency that made council operations look clumsy and slow. "How do you keep them all cooperating?" he asked quietly. "We do not keep them doing anything," Carol replied. "We offer them something better than what they had before. If they like it, they stay. If they do not, they are free to leave." The council delegation spent 3 days on Earth, observing how the human system worked. They saw species that had been enemies for centuries, working side by side on joint projects. They witnessed trade agreements being made in minutes that would have taken the council months to negotiate. They watched as problems were solved through cooperation instead of regulation. When they returned to council space, Threndall called a special session to report what they had learned. The chamber was unusually quiet as he spoke. "The humans have not built a government," he said. "They have built a community. They have not created an empire. They have created a family. And that family is growing larger every day." The final blow came when Dr. Helen Foster's new faster-than-light technology was completed and tested. The first ships equipped with the new system could travel between stars in hours instead of days. More importantly, the technology was being shared freely with any species that wanted it. The Council's control of galactic infrastructure was ending. Their jump gate network, which had been the foundation of their power for thousands of years, was becoming obsolete. President Evans delivered her final address to the United Earth Assembly on the second anniversary of humanity's diplomatic withdrawal. The assembly hall was filled not just with humans, but with representatives from over 100 species that had joined the Open Alliance. 2 years ago, We made a simple choice, she said. We chose freedom over security, independence over membership, cooperation over control. Today, we can see the results of that choice. The results spoke for themselves. Human space had expanded to include dozens of new worlds. Human technology had advanced more in 2 years than in the previous century. Most importantly, humanity had proven that there was a better way to organize galactic civilization. We did not reject diplomacy, Evans concluded. We rejected the idea that diplomacy requires giving up who we are. We chose to build relationships based on mutual respect instead of mutual submission. Outside the assembly hall, ships from across the galaxy prepared for departure to new worlds, new opportunities, and new adventures. The galaxy had fundamentally changed, not through conquest or conversion, but through humanity's simple refusal to accept limitations on their freedom. In the council chambers, the remaining representatives sat in uncomfortable silence. For the first time in 3,000 years, they faced an uncertain future. Their authority was no longer absolute. Their relevance was no longer guaranteed. And their way of doing things was no longer the only option. The humans had won without firing a shot, without making threats, and without forcing anyone to change. They had simply offered a better alternative and let the galaxy choose for itself. The choice was clear, and the galaxy had chosen freedom.